Hey, what's up? Today's video, we're going to be going over the top 5 worst tech champions in the game. My last video was the Cosmic Champions, so if you like these videos, comment, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. I am running a challenge, like I say in every single video. If you want to vote for my next R5, please go to the video linked in the description. I want to hit 500 subs before I can do my next R5, and you can choose which R5. Yes, you can choose which R5. If you can down in the comments, type what champion you want, or vote for one of the champions in the comments. But, that being said, let's go ahead and hop into this top 5 ranking of the worst tech champions. So, the worst tech champions of the game are actually pretty... There's a select few I wanted to add to this list, but the tech champions are a lot easier than the cosmic champions. I believe these 5 are actually pretty bad. That being said, let's go ahead and hop right into it. So, the 5th worst tech champion spot in the game is actually Rocket Raccoon. So, of course, it's not a Tanner video or a Teammates video without changing my audio, but Rocket Raccoon, definitely not meant to be a modern day champion. His kit was definitely made for back in the day when kits were very, very simple, but a simple kit is not bad in a lot of people's eyes. The only problem is it's just so simple to the point where there's not really much utility in it, and there's not very much you can do with it. He has solid damage. He has some pretty solid damage. He's kind of like Gambit in the way where if you have good crit RNG, you can crit and launch that big SP2 with that big crit. You can do a lot of damage, but that's all he has is just some big SP2 damage. He makes for a pretty fun rank up, and if you have him ranked up, it's definitely a fun champion to have ranked up, but on defense, he has one of the lowest health pools in the game, and he has like no defensive prowess at all. You basically can nuke him now before he can even throw a special because his health pool is so low. But that being said, Rocket Raccoon, definitely one of the worst champions in the game, just for the simple fact his kit is so very simple, but he has really good damage on that SP2. But damage can only take you so far in the game. In modern day content, it's going to be really hard to find a place to use Rocket Raccoon. But he's cool looking. He has a little jetpack. But yeah, he really doesn't have anything else for going for him. His prestige isn't high. His defense is not very good. Yeah, that's about all. Next up for our 4th spot is actually my first ever 7-star champion I ever pulled. I started off with a banger, and that is War Machine. Now, I pulled him from my 3rd ever Paragon Crystal I opened, which was absolutely insane. But War Machine is just such a weird character. On paper, his kit seems pretty good. His SP1 applies suppressions, and with Collar Tech, you basically almost have him power locked. Those suppressions are pretty potent, but the problem is, he does no damage unless you launch that SP2 and get that armor break. And even at that, his damage is still kind of minimal. It's pretty good, but there's a lot of tech champions in the game that do what he can do. And he just doesn't fit well in the contest. The reason he is not lower on the list, though, is because he has pre-fights. His pre-fights aren't anything crazy, but if you don't have any other champions to apply pre-fights with, he's not terrible. They just add some extra little benefits. They're kind of like stat focuses in a way for tech champions. But yeah, that's basically all. His Awaken ability, when he goes below a certain health pool, it's like 25%. He activates some Furies and Regens, which aren't terrible, but they're not the most potent thing ever. You can just out-damage those easy. And on defense, he's not that good of a defender either because he applies suppressions to you, so you just heal back to full no matter what. And his special 2 is very easy to evade. It's just one big hit. But yeah, War Machine is just he's a very boring champion too. He's just not very fun. Yeah, he's not good. I find with the tech class, a lot of these tech class champions are just boring. They're just very, very boring. The cosmic class, at least those champions, you have some type of funness about them, and even other classes. But the tech class overall, I find kind of to be boring anyways. So the 5 worst champions are already just super, super boring. But yeah, you pull it from a basic crystal, you're not feeling good about it. He is a little bit of a tank. He does have pretty good armor rating, but even at that, it's nothing crazy. So he's, like I said, not good on defense, not the greatest attacker. I would say Rocket Raccoon's probably a better attacker. He's just a little bit better on defense, but still, he's not that great of a defender. But yeah, But now we get to the third worst, and this is where the power scaling goes way down here. And it's kind of crazy because these two champions are some of the worst champions I've mentioned so far, especially at the 5th and 4th spot. But 3, 2, and 1, these are horrible champions. There's nothing really good about any of them. And number 3 is actually Civil Warrior. So the main problem with Civil Warrior is nowadays you don't have this problem, but he was locked behind a paywall. Like a lot of bad champions in the game, they are locked behind a paywall. I don't know why they are, but he was just an exclusive champ you could earn, and he's not good. He really isn't good. On attack, you convert your armors to furies. Those furies are not the most potent things in the world, so you're not really doing that much damage. On defense, he does kind of have some stall defender capability, as long as you're not using a cosmic character or a character that just nukes him down. He just has a lot of armors, but use someone like Serpent for example, he nukes him down. Cold Obsidian nukes him down. Armor breaks. Just anybody with armor breaks will nuke him down. He really has no defensive prowess. He's just a tank, but even at that, he has nothing going for him in his kit. You convert, like I said, shields or armors to furies, but even at that, it's just boring. And it sucked even worse. If he was still locked behind a paywall, I would probably put him lower on the list, but he's now in the basic, so now it's pretty cool for collectives. I did notice that. A lot of you guys were commenting about these champions. There is a bright side about them, and that is if you have them, especially the rare champions locked behind a paywall, they're going to add to your collectives. So that is one good upside about all these champs. If you have them, you add them to your collectives, but unfortunately, they're not good champions. But yeah, I believe Civil Warrior is just an awful champion. He's never really been good, and I don't think he ever will be good. I don't see him ever getting a buff. He now is in the base pool, so his likelihood of getting a buff is a little bit higher. But even at that, I don't see him getting a buff. Nobody likes Civil Warrior. Nobody cares about Civil Warrior. He is probably one of the better Captain Americas because he is kind of meant to be an Iron Man / Captain America, which is kind of cool, but he's just not that great. But here we go. Like I said, third, so the 5th and 4th are right here, third's right here, and then the next two are down here. We get even worse. So, number 2 on this top 5 worst ranking is actually a champion I don't have, and it's another champion locked behind a paywall, if you can believe it. There's 3 champions on this list locked behind a paywall. That is Vision. So there's technically 2 Visions in the game. There's Vision and then Vision Age of Ultron. They have the exact same kit, but I only do 7 stars on these lists just because these are champions that are the meta level nowadays. His kit is basically you do damage on their specials by melting their power burning them. So what does that mean? If you're fighting a Hulkling, which you never want to bring him in for Hulkling doesn't take damage by specials. And there's a way, it's kind of cheese, but it's really not anything crazy. But if you're fighting Vision with a Hulkling, you want to be hit by his specials, because the specials only do damage with power burn. They don't have any white numbers, they don't crit, they don't do anything of that. They just do red damage for power burn. Well, Gallon and Hulkling are both power burn immune, so you take that and you get ramped yourself. His specials are terrible. I will say, he does have access to a heal block, which is actually not very bad utility. It's pretty easy access to a heal block, and on defense, he's kind of annoying because, which it's always been, it's not a bug, but it doesn't really explain it, but he just randomly gets power during the fight. He'll just randomly get power. So on defense, that is very annoying, especially on quest nodes where his attack rating is even higher. But even at that, if you just block his special 1 or special 2, you're not going to take damage because it does no damage. It does no damage. So if you just block his specials, you can bait the specials and just block them. You don't have to dex them, which the specials are very easy to dex. But that's all. His kit is just, you power burn them. And he's a robot, so he's bleeding poison immune. But there's a lot of robots in the game. It's such a boring kit, especially for a champ locked behind a paywall. And for them to be 2 different versions of the game. I wish Vision, there was a good Vision. There is Deathless Vision, which he was arguably an honorable mention for this list. I wish there was a good Vision on the list. There's so many cool things you could do with the Vision, but of course, they're a trophy champion, locked behind a paywall. They're probably never going to get buffed. But yeah, Vision, boring kit, nothing going on in this kit. Not a defender, not an attacker. It's just, he's a very out-of-date champion. But I believe the worst champion in the game is actually a boss in the game. He is a boss. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. Now, this exact version isn't a boss 3 times, but he has this exact version as a boss 2 times. That is Kang. Kang the Conqueror. Kind of like Thanos. He's a big bag boss. Back in the day, he was a big boss. You had to fight him. In Act 7, he is a big boss. You have to fight him. So, when you get him on attack and you get him on your roster, you're like, man, this is cool. What do I have? Nothing. His kit consists of kind of like Vision's kit. He's pretty close to Vision, where he just power drains and he does a little bit of damage and he stuns on his specials. Now, I will say he is probably a better character than Vision, but the reason I have him at number 1 is because he is locked behind a paywall, of course, and you have to get lucky to get him or Vision, but locked behind a paywall, and he is a boss in the game 2 times, and he is still bad. You fight him 2 times and you get catfish, because like, man, this is a tough boss. Especially the Act 7 one, which is kind of fun, but it's kind of tough. Like, man, I can't wait to get him on attack. And then he sucks. He's absolutely terrible. Now, the reason I think he is higher, and he arguably probably should be in the 3rd spot, but just because he is a boss and he's been in the game for so long, and it's Kang the Conqueror, and he's bad. But the reason I believe he belongs in the number 1 spot, or I believe he should be a little bit higher, is he has a really, really great synergy with APOC to where he can ramp up to 20 Furies, but the only problem is you have to be in the fight for 3 minutes. So, yeah. I believe he is the worst character in the tech class, and one of the worst characters in the game by far, just because he's locked behind a paywall. Like many other characters locked behind a paywall, they're bad. They're just terrible. Like, you're never going to use Kang for anything. Plus, it's Kang the Conqueror. Why is he bad? But yeah, if you liked this video, please consider subscribing. A lot of you guys that watch this video every single day are not subscribed, and it sucks because I'm on the road to 500. But yeah, please go back to my video that I have linked in the description. Vote for who you want me to rank 5, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.